Hey folks, my name is Jen, and today we are going to talk about the books that I read back in January. It honestly is really hard to believe that we are already deep into February at this point, so like that just feels kind of odd overall. But anyway, I, over the course of January, read 7 books, and overall I will say that it was a pretty good reading month overall. Terrible fucking month otherwise, just in general. But the books that I read were very enjoyable, so that's something going for us all. Me at least, I don't know. So first up, normal monthly stats are trying to get back into like the monthly stats general idea. How did I do with my monthly challenges overall? Where I want to try to read a classic a month, a nonfiction book a month, something for my nightstand of shame. And I also have the books left over from the banned book challenge that I was trying to do last year. I have those that I want to try to get through. So how did I do overall with that? Well, as far as the banned book challenge goes, did not get to any of those last month, and that honestly, that's just kind of how things have been going for me lately. My brain has not been a kind place, and some of those reads unfortunately are just a little bit more tough topics overall. So it's really been a struggle to get myself to read those things. But I am gonna push through this year. It's just I have not been able to do that so far. Yeah, did not get to that in this challenge. How'd I do with the nightstand of shame? Didn't get to any of those either. But I did manage to finish reading a classic, although technically one of my other reads could also sort of count as a classic in a manner of speaking, and then I did also read a nonfiction book. So I think first of all we will talk about the nonfiction book that I read last month. And that was a book that I'd actually received for Christmas. Actually, I didn't really share with you guys anything that I got for like my birthday or Christmas, did I? No, I don't think I did. Oops, should probably do that at some point. Yeah, I got a couple of books for Christmas, and this was one of them. This lovely image of Dr. Frankenfurter on the cover. It comes with its own book sleeve. I'll show you. This is Rocky Horror, as you can see, and this is behind the scenes information, a collection of stories, and also a lot of quotes by a lot of famous people on how much Rocky Horror has meant to them. All done up with this beautiful collection of photos taken by Mick Rock, who is a famous photographer, and he photographed Rocky Horror and all the behind the scenes stuff. So this is so cool. It came with a bunch of stickers. I have taken a couple of them and put them on my laptop. But yeah, so this is behind the scenes look at the cult classic. And so it's really cool. It's got a foreword by Richard O'Brien, who of course I didn't realize that he had created Rocky Horror like almost entirely himself. Like I knew that he was definitely part of it, but I didn't realize the whole thing was basically him. So that was really cool. This is really just full awesome photos, the influence of Rocky Horror in general, and also a lot about the photographer, as the photographer Mick Rock has passed away at this point. And this is just like involving all the influence overall. There's Mick Rock. It's wicked cool. The photos are so sick. A lot of them are so cool. Just look at Tim Curry. I really like this movie. I really like it a lot. It's kind of a tradition now for me and my friends to watch it on Halloween or around Halloween when we hang out. Inevitably, some or one of us will do the time warp. It's usually me when I'm slightly wasted, and but other friends will also do it as well a lot of the time, and we have been to see the show a couple of times as well. The live show, which is so cool and is actually talked about in here. So this play, this rock opera basically holds a special place in my heart, not only because of how many good memories I have associated with it, but also just I love the music, I love the acting in it, the choreography, the aesthetic, like everything about it is so cool, and it is like a celebration of being like unabashedly yourself, no matter how different or out there you might be. I just really, yeah, I really love the movie. I didn't think about how exactly attractive Tim Curry is, or was back in the day. He's older now, of course, until I'm looking at these photos, I'm like, damn, that man is attractive. I didn't really think about that before. But yeah, so these are just wicked cool behind the scenes photos. Some of them are just joking around with each other and being absolutely silly, and it's just really cool. And yeah, like I said, there's a lot of quotes in here from people, how much things meant to them. I love that photo. It's just great. And then also stories from everybody who was in it, and it's so cool. It's just honestly wicked cool. It's such a great collection, and honestly I really do love coffee table books, or things that kind of count as coffee table books, especially when it's about something that I really love. And yeah, I just love this. I think this is an absolute treasure overall, and so much fun to look at all of the photos, and definitely awesome to learn more about it as well. Not only the making of, but also just the cultural impact that Rocky Horror Picture Show has had on others. So yeah, I love it. I gave this book 5 stars, and it's fantastic, and I would highly recommend if you are a fan of Rocky Horror. Now, the classic that I read, I think we will talk about that next. The classic I read was actually a reread. I reread The Return of the King by Tolkien. I actually just finished up a reread of the book. Because I think I'd gotten somewhere over this much, I think, in prior to January. So I just had to finish up the whole thing. I actually read more of the appendices this time than I had the last time. I love this book. I don't really know what to say about it because I've read it before, and it is the last book in The Lord of the Rings. You probably already know the story already of The Lord of the Rings. Like I said, this is the final installment. Things come together, people come together, battles are won, evil is destroyed, mostly. Wrongs are righted, love is shared, relationships come to fruition, friendships grow stronger. I don't know what to tell you. It's really great. It does, of course, have a very bittersweet ending, and I think I felt it even more the second time while reading it than I had the first time. And maybe that's just because of where my headspace was at overall. Yeah, how I was feeling overall about humanity and life and things at the point last month when I was reading this book. but I do think that this is exactly the type of thing that I needed to read at this juncture, and I would suggest if you haven't read Lord of the Rings yet, or if it's been a while since you read it, or even it hasn't been that long, I think maybe right about now is probably a good time to pick it up again, or pick it up for the first time, because it's, you know, it does have some bittersweet parts to it, but overall it's a very hopeful book. And I think that in the midst of lots of despair and anger and division and absolutely reprehensible things that we are hearing and learning and seeing, I think something that can instill hope and a little bit of drive to continue is exactly probably what's needed right about now. So yeah, I just really loved revisiting this book. And I still I still do not want to read the Silmarillion, I don't think. It's just not, I don't think it is going to be ultimately what I want to read, but I am reading right now The Making of Middle-earth, and that's pretty interesting, and I'll have my thoughts about that hopefully next month. I'm hoping that I'll finish that book this month, but I am looking for other Tolkien things to read because I would really like to read more about Tom Bombadil, and I think there are a couple of other Middle-earth related things that he wrote that I am also interested in trying to check out as well. Plus he has like some stories, not stories, but letters he wrote to his children when he was pretending to be Father Christmas, and I think I also want to read that because it sounds exactly like the wholesome kind of thing that I might want to read at some point as well. But yeah, this is wonderful. I loved revisiting it, and it was 5 stars. And I guess while I'm thinking of it, I will also talk about the other book I read that technically would count as a classic, even though I normally categorize it as just like a play. But that is Macbeth by Shakespeare. I actually, read this for the first time at the end of the month, actually. I finished it, literally. I finished Act 4, or is it Act 4? Act 5. I finished up Act 4 and 5 on the last day of the month, January actually. But this is a play, a tragedy, the tragedy of Macbeth, or if you're in the theatre, the Scottish play. This is a play that has a lot of superstition around it. Not only, I guess, because the rumor is Shakespeare put real magic spells in the play. I don't think he actually did that. Or the fact that, again, is referred to as a Scottish play in theatre groups because there is a superstition that if you name it in the theater, shit goes wrong. Shit ain't gonna go well for you or the company. Basically, yeah, there's superstition about this play, and I've heard that for years. The superstition, the rumors surrounding this, and also I've heard like bits and pieces of it here and there, like the Weird Sisters. That's the thing. Terry Pratchett named some of his witches the Weird Sisters. He spells it differently. But, you know, double, boil and trouble. Everybody knows that. Out, damn spot, out. Like, everybody knows that. There's a couple other lines that people just automatically know. And I knew that those particular ones were from this play. I just didn't get the full, complete context until I actually read it. And there were a couple other things that were in here that were quotes that I've heard before, and I was like, oh wow, that's in here? That's cool. This play, what do I say about this? It is a tragedy of Macbeth. It is the Scottish play. It is set in Scotland during a very tumultuous time in history. I'm not, again, poor American education. I'm not 100% up on the history of other places, especially Europe. I couldn't tell you exactly what time we are looking at, what time period exactly. There is some information here and there in here, and I believe that this does take place maybe around the time of King James's rule. And if this is the king, and see, there's so many people, like rulers with the same names or similar names, that it's kind of hard to grasp sometimes time periods, but from what I'm understanding of the notes I read in the front of this book, this is around the time of King James' rule. Or maybe it's before King James' rule, but Shakespeare was writing and having this performed during King James' rule. And King James, if I am remembering correctly, is the one who was super obsessed with witchcraft and was like dead convinced that he was going to die as a result of witchcraft, and so he like he's the one who is why the King James version of the Bible exists, and he was the one who wrote the book on demonology that was used in a bunch of witch hunts. And honestly, he sounds like a paranoid asshole, but whatever. He was the ruler at the time when this was being performed. I'm thinking that this story of Macbeth is supposed to be taking place around then, or probably a couple hundred years before then, because Shakespeare often seems to make plays be older than the current day a lot, or at least a lot of the ones that I've read. That seems to be the case. And Macbeth has won a battle, basically, for the king, King Duncan. He is the king of Scotland. He has a couple of sons, and Macbeth ends up becoming the Thane, which is like, I guess kind of like a count of some sort, a count, a lord, like that kind of thing. And getting land that belonged to the guy that he defeated previously. The thing is that there's also a group of weird sisters, the three witches, who basically appear before Macbeth and tell him, yo, bro, there's also another dude there, but they tell both him and the other dude that, hey, basically, this was going to happen in the future. You're going to be the Thane, you're going to get this land, you're going to be appointed, all this stuff is going to happen. One day you're going to be king, blah, blah, blah. And he hears all of this, and it's like, the fuck? And then he meets with the king, King Duncan. King Duncan's like, hey, yeah, I'm giving you this dude's land, you are the Thane, you're this, you're that, all this kind of stuff like that. And we're so thankful for you, blah, 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 blah. And Macbeth is like, holy shit, they were right. And then he just, instead of just being like, wow, that's really cool, this bro is just like, now that I've got a taste of power, they said I'm gonna be king, well, I can't wait for that to happen, so I'm gonna make that shit happen. So I gotta kill the king. And his wife is also kind of power hungry and manipulative, so they end up plotting to murder the king and then blame it on other people so he can become king and grab more power, and this ultimately destroys his entire fucking life, as well as the lives of everyone around him, or at least most of the people around him, just royally fucking up everything. I will say I have read a couple of his tragedies before, and I felt for Hamlet in that story. In Hamlet, I felt for Hamlet. In King Lear sucks, but I felt sorry for his daughter. I forget which one it was. I forget his daughter's name, but one of them was like, that doesn't matter. The point is that there were always people that I felt sorry for in this situation. In this situation, these motherfuckers who were causing all of this stuff, I don't feel sorry for them at all. Macbeth could not give a shit about Macbeth, Lady Macbeth. They made their bed. Their bloody bed, by the way. They're gonna sleep and die in it. It's fine. Damn, crazy shit happening. I will say, this was unhinged. And I kind of really liked that it was unhinged. I also really like these Folger editions because they have really good footnotes, and they do have some explanation things and further reading and stuff like that that you can do, so I could get more context about what was kind of going on at the time, why this was a big deal, all of that stuff. And yeah, I just really enjoyed this. Macbeth and his wife are terrible people, but damn, that lady has some good lines. Like, she is fucking trouble. But it's like a train wreck, or maybe like watching an episode of one of those terrible reality shows, you know, like maybe Survivor, but I'm thinking more like fucking, I don't know, Love Island or something like that, where someone is being a messy bitch, and it is just, that's what this felt like. This was like watching a more murdery version of that. It was unhinged, like I said, and I enjoyed it immensely. I really, really want to actually watch this now that I have read it and I've got more context for things that are in here. I do want to watch a version of this. I just have to figure out how to do that. I suppose I could always look and see if this is being played anywhere near me. But if I can't find like a play version to watch, maybe I can find like some kind of adaptation. You know, like the ones that they've done of like Richard III or Much Ado About Nothing. Maybe there's some other kind of adaptation of it that I can watch and get even more context behind some of this, because some of the things in here, I know 100% I'm not getting all of it. And I would understand it even better if I watched it performed. But yeah, this was a crazy good time just watching people wreck their whole entire fucking lives. It's kind of cathartic, and I enjoyed it. And yeah, like I said, there are a couple of quotes in here that like kind of live in my head rent free. Yeah. What did I give this? I gave this 4 stars. And then I ended up reading 4 romance novels. Those were the other books that I read this month. 2 of them were audiobooks, so I think I will talk about those first. Those are both Ice Planet, or Ice Planet Barbarians, or Ice Planet Home, or Ice Home, or whatever the series is called, the Ruby Dixon Blue Alien books. Yeah, I read 2 more of them because it's just my jam lately, I guess, is getting back on the horse of the Ice Planet books. I listened to were Barbarian Lover and Barbarian Mine. And these are books, let me see, 3 and 4 in the series. I had previously read 1 and 2, if not last year, like the year before. But yeah, Barbarian, they are, of course, romance novels, so they're like continuing the overall story, and there's a lot of repeat characters that you are seeing again, but you are following different couples, basically. The Ice Planet, the scenario that happened was a bunch of human females were abducted by these big bad aliens and basically taken across the stars. They were going to be sold, and terrible things happened to them on the spaceship. Some of them were assaulted, and some of them were like in the hold, and some of them were in like these pods, like cryogenic pods, sleeping. Something happened on the ship. I think it was either like a storm or some kind of issue or whatever. They ended up crash landing on this ice planet that the women come to call Not Hoth. And they basically are just freezing. And they end up being found and rescued by a bunch of big blue aliens called the Saqui, who, like 200-300 years previously, they had crash landed on this planet and ended up just staying and adapting and making it be their home. So they find them and take them into their tribe, and part of them needing to survive on this planet is it's so cold that they end up needing to have a kui, which is this little like wormy thing that has to be taken out of another creature and given to them. Basically, it's like a parasite that lives in them that keeps them healthy and helps them adapt to the planet's atmosphere. Not only because there is something toxic within the atmosphere, I believe, that will slowly kill the humans, but it's also fucking freezing. But over the course of this, it also causes them to resonate for others. Resonating is basically like the Kui is like, hey, I see someone that you're sexually compatible with, and you're gonna breed. It's like a parasite that helps with the propagation of a species, basically. So this is the story of these human women and the Sakui men coming together and bumping uglies and making kids basically like that. And it's like, it's got that whole like, this is like a species thing, but they're also like falling in love with each other, and like you can see that, you know, it is like this thing, but the Kui is also really good at this matchmaking business because they are pretty perfect for each other. So yeah, that's like this whole series is like this, and the aliens are basically like sentient sex toys in a manner of speaking, because they have like the greatest dick in the world apparently, and they have, I don't want to get into it because oh my god, I'm gonna get embarrassed. Anyway, so yeah, uh so Barbarian Lover is following Kira and Aihako. Aihako has a very great sense of humor, and he has been very interested in this one woman, Kira. Kira is struggling. She was implanted with this like earpiece thing that works as a translator, and she was kind of used by the bad aliens as someone that they could subjugate and also make her translate for the other women, and make them obey and do what they wanted and all that kind of thing. And this has not been great for Kira. She's been dealing with a lot, not only having to hear everything around her, but also having this deep-seated fear that these aliens are going to come back for their property and also for the thing that's attached medically inserted into her ear canal and brain. And she's also dealing with some personal things as well. When she was younger, she had a medical emergency that resulted in her being informed when she was a teenager that she would never be able to have kids. And so she's pretty much also accepting the fact that because of that, she is not going to ever resonate with someone, so she's going to end up entirely alone on this planet. She's never going to have a family or anything. So she's dealing with all of that, and Aihako is just really into her. He thinks she's special. He calls her Sad Eyes, and he wants to cheer her up. He wants to be there for her and everything. And so they have this romance kind of blossoming between the two of them. And then it turns out the bad aliens are indeed going to be coming back for what they deem their property. And now we gotta worry about what to do about that. I really enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed it. There were aspects of it that were a little tough to read, but overall, I did, for the most part, enjoy Kira. I thought she was quite stubborn at some points, but I did also really enjoy her. This one had a lot of action in it that was cool. Like, a lot of shit happening, like crazy shit, and that was, you know, that was good to read when there was so much action. Aihako, I really liked him. Like, his overall, like, kind of joking demeanor and how careful and he was with her, and like, I really liked him. I thought he was a really cool dude. So I did enjoy that one. It was spicy. it wasn't like a perfect book in any of mine. There has been a couple other books that in the series that I've read since that wow, they're so good. But this wasn't quite there, but I did still really enjoy it. I gave that 4 stars. And then the next one I read was Barbarian Mine, which is following Harlow and Rook. And basically, Harlow, she has also been kind of dealing with stuff. When she was on Earth before she was abducted, she had been diagnosed with a brain tumor. And she had already been dealing with that. And now that she is on the planet and she's got the Qui in her and like everything like that, she has been told that that has been healed actually. So she's got like a second lease on life. She's really smart. She was raised by her dad, who was a mechanic, so she's really good with like all these mechanical things. She's trying to learn more about improving their situations and more about how everybody came to be on this island by going through an old spaceship. She's very kind of cool. She was assisting or trying to assist the others, and she was out in the snow trying to gather like tree limbs and stuff like that to help others get back to the tribal caves, and she was hit on the head and dragged off. She was dragged off by another big blue alien called Rook. Now, Rook has been terrified of the bad aliens his entire life. He's known them as the bad aliens because his father, who died when he was still a kid, his father told him they are bad people and he is never to go near them, not have anything to do with them. His father had kind of self-exiled himself in his child, and then he ended up dying, and Rook was left to finish raising himself, and he was still really young, so he was still kind of half feral about it all. He doesn't really know a lot of words. He doesn't really speak that much. When he finds Harlow, he doesn't know what to think of her. He just thinks she's a bad alien and kind of hits her over the head, drags her off till he decides what to do with her because he doesn't want to be seen. Realizes later, hey, she's not like the other ones, and this is a girl. Oh boy, like that kind of thing. But they don't really have a good communication. There's like this barrier here between the two of them. And so I was like, oh boy, I do not like this situation at all. But I did come to like both of them because she is trying to understand him and also trying to help him. Because she realizes after a while that he has been on his own a long time and he can't really speak. So she teaches him a lot of words and teaches him how to speak and teaches and like that kind of thing, and he kind of shows her how to survive, and they become like companions with each other. And he was so young when his dad died, he doesn't know a lot of customs within the tribe and like different things like that anyway, so they're both like learning things about each other and teaching each other how to like survive and how to do and it's like, I don't know, it was a very interesting situation versus the other 3 previous that I had read. I wasn't super big on a couple of the things that happened within the book, but I still really ultimately enjoyed it, and I thought the spice was pretty good, and I did enjoy where things ended up. I thought that was overall, I wondered about a couple of things, and then overall I really enjoyed how it kind of ultimately ended. So that one I also gave 4 stars. The other 2 romance novels that I read, I already had previously read. The first one, honestly, if you were here last year, you're not going to be surprised that I read this again, because I read fan service yet again. Fan service by Rosie Danan, which you might be tired of hearing me talk about this fucking book at this point. I don't care. Fan service is following Alex and Devin. Alex was always kind of the weird kid, and still is kind of like a little bit of an outcast within her small town in Florida. But something that she really desperately held on to in her formative years was this supernatural show about a guy who ends up getting werewolf powers because he's like the chosen one, and he ends up working with like the FBI and stuff like that to solve crimes and do all kinds of stuff. Like, pretty good stuff. Super into that. But because of a unfortunate encounter that she had with the lead actor when she was a teenager, she ends up hating him, kind of talking shit about him all over this internet forum that she had created for the show. And years and years go by. Devin, said lead actor, he has been out of work for a while now. He's still obsessed with the show, wanting there to be like a reboot or a comeback. He just hasn't found success other than that, and he feels like he was just made for that role. He wants to do it again. And he suddenly starts having some weird shit happen, and he thinks that he might be actually turning into a werewolf. He goes to find help, finds the forum online, and decides, fuck it, I guess I'll just ask for help anyway, which leads him back to Alex. These two kind of start out as enemies, become friends, and then lovers. I loved this, and I am not an enemies to lovers girl at all, but I really, really adored this. This is, as I've said before, more of a grumpy sunshine or like black cat golden retriever kind of vibe to it. I adore this book so much. It makes me so happy. It makes me feel a lot of things. It puts me in like my feelings. It makes me cringe a little bit at a couple of scenes. It is hilarious. It is spicy. There is this fangirl 18-year-old still living inside of me who fucking feels this book so deeply and loves it with all her heart. And I love this book. I hope someday that they make a movie or a short series out of it because I adore it so much, and I want more people to love this and be obsessed with it, and it's just so good. I loved rereading this. I meant to actually I was going to highlight or annotate it this time because I've read it so many times at this point, and I meant to do that, but before I knew it, I was 5 chapters in and I was already just sucked in and flying through it too fast to actually do anything about it. But yeah, I love this book forever and ever and ever, and I mean, I read it 3 times last year. I've read it again in January of this year. God knows if I'm gonna read it again. I don't fucking know. I just love this shit so much, and I think that you should read it. Everyone should read it. People should read it. I mean, maybe it's not your cup of tea, but I don't know. I just love this book. Now become like a comfort read or something. I just, for some reason, just keep fucking reaching for this thing. I want to crawl inside of it. I love it. So, yeah, 5 stars forever and ever. And the last book I read was also a reread, and that was Heated Rivalry by Rachel Reed. I read an ebook of this. Yes, it was an ebook. I read of it in December. I'd also listened to a little bit of the audiobook, but it made me really mortified, honestly. Hearing the guys talk about I don't know. Men talking sexy makes me more scandalized than women talking sexy. So I don't know. I couldn't handle it. So I ended up reading the ebook instead. But I really liked it, and I wanted to read the second book, so I ordered both Heated Rivalry and The Long Game. I've now finished that. I can't wait to talk about that next month. Oh my god. But yeah, so I ended up wanting to reread this book so that I could go back into the second book. This reread, honestly, I think I enjoyed it a lot more because it felt like I could really take my time with it. This is, I'm sure, unless you've lived under a rock, you know what this is about, but this is a rivals to lovers story about Shane Hollander and Ilya Rosanov. Hollander plays for the Montreal Voyageurs, and Rosanov plays for the Boston Bears. And the two of them have known each other since right before, their rookie year. They met then. They were both, star players. And over time, they start acknowledging this attraction between each other, and then they start acting upon that attraction just as kind of hookup buddies, but over time things get complicated because they catch feelings. And this is all about that developing relationship, a slow burn of one as it really develops over like 7 years, basically, and their whole career, pretty much. And it is basically their developing relationship and also their rivalry, because they really are set up as rivals by the NHL and everyone pretty much, because they are both star players, captains of their respective teams, and always seem to be butting heads and chirping at each other and just facing off all the time, but really they're just fucking enamored with each other. And I loved this. Not only was it funny, it is spicy as hell, and I really think, like I said, I'm not really super into the whole enemies to lovers thing overall, but rivals to lovers, man, there is something about that, because this is like, they are, not only are they into each other, but they are like, they respect each other's like prowess, their athleticism. They challenge each other to be better, because they're like almost in a world apart from others, because they're like so good at what they do, and they challenge each other to be better, and there's a lot of like tension between them. And yeah, it ends up translating into sexual tension, but there's also a lot of tension between them because they love playing against each other, because they know that the other makes the other one better than they are, and they love that kind of like playful competitiveness they have. And that, yeah, it's all of, I loved that aspect of this as well. They're bantering, whether it's flirting on the ice or being competitive for dumb things when they're off ice, and just their developing relationship and how they are there for each other. They're like perfect for each other. And I just, man, this is such a good book, and I have been enjoying this series immensely, and there's a reason why so many people are obsessed with this, and this is damn fucking good. So yeah, I really loved this as well, and this was, what did I give this? Like 4 stars. And that was everything that I read back in January. Like I said, overall, great month, all 4 and 5 star reads. Enjoyed all of them. And I can tell you, partway through February, I've read now, 4 books, and they have been amazing so far, and I'm only expecting even better things this month from my reading experience. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for always watching. If you're new here and would like to subscribe, please do so. If you have read any of these books, let me know. If there's any books you want to suggest based on what I talked about, please let me know as well. And I recently did some updating to, I know it's been a while since I've talked about like different causes to check out or look into or support or things like that. I know it's been a long time since I've even talked about that, but I recently did some updating to that in the box below where I keep them fairly often. So if you would like, please do indeed check that out. I had recently added some places to go to support Minneapolis at this time, and just help communities out overall. So yeah, if you would like to go check that out, please do indeed go look at those. And yeah, anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.